Hey everyone, ready to dive into some seriously creepy stuff?
Always up for it.
Let's talk Ted Bundy.
Oh yeah, the name everyone knows.
But even if you think you've heard it all, stick around.
You might be surprised what we found.
We're going deep with a 2014 German article,
Ted Bundy, the campus killer, it's called.
and it's got details that are truly chilling.
Even years later, it's a fascinating read.
So imagine this, August 1975, Salt Lake City.
Routine traffic stop, right?
Not even close.
A VW Beetle blows right past a patrol officer.
Ignoring the signal to pull over.
Finally, the officer catches up.
What happens next is just wild.
The passenger seat. Gone.
Okay, that's weird.
But it gets worse.
Much worse.
The officer finds a ski mask,
Okay,
pantyhose mask, crowbar, handcuffs,
hold on.
trash bags, rope, and an ice pick.
Like a full-on serial killer kit.
It's straight out of a nightmare.
I bet that officer was freaking out.
Absolutely. He had stumbled onto something huge.
Ted Bundy.
One of the most notorious serial killers in history.
All from a simple traffic stop.
Unreal, right?
So then what? They realize they've got Bundy. Right.
Things escalate quickly.
Utah police start digging into his past.
And they find connections to unsolved murders.
Across multiple states.
Washington, Oregon, Colorado, and Utah.
They realize this is just the beginning.
It's like the tip of the iceberg.
Makes you wonder how many times he got away with it before.
It's a chilling thought.
And then, get this, he escapes
Not once, but twice.
while he's awaiting trial in Utah.
New Year's Eve, 1977.
His second escape is a success.
Meticulous planning.
Creates a whole new identity.
Disappears into the night.
He was determined to stay free.
He goes to Tallahassee, Florida.
Tries to blend in, start over.
But the article makes it clear.
Bundy couldn't escape himself.
He wanted to stay under the radar.
But just 2 weeks later,
He murders 2 women.
it's like the urge to kill just took over.
A compulsion he couldn't control.
Psychologists have debated this for years.
What drove him? The thrill. The need for control.
We may never know for sure.
And get this, his capture.
Another traffic stop.
You can't make this stuff up.
It's like twisted fate.
A month after those murders, he kills again.
A 12-year-old girl,
Tries to flee Florida.
but another traffic stop.
And that's the end of his reign of terror.
But who was he really? This Ted Bundy.
The article paints a fascinating picture.
Intelligent, charming, a law student.
Even involved in politics.
The all-American image?
But underneath it all,
A monster.
a master of deception.
Hiding in plain sight.
Drawn to attractive, educated women.
But instead of courting them,
He murdered them.
this duality must have terrified people.
Absolutely, it shattered the illusion of safety.
You couldn't even trust the guy next door.
And his methods were just as chilling.
The article calls him a master manipulator.
Using his intelligence and charm to trap victims.
Can you tell us more about how he operated?
Modus operandi is the term.
His way of doing things?
He'd approach women in public.
Feigning an injury,
Or needing assistance.
playing on their kindness.
Sometimes he'd impersonate authority figures.
Police officers, firefighters.
To gain their trust.
It's so insidious.
He weaponized their good intentions. He lured them away from crowds,
Isolate them?
And then his true nature would come out.
The article goes into some detail about the attacks.
But it doesn't dwell on the violence, you know what I mean?
Right, it's not about sensationalizing it,
More about the psychological impact.
which is just as important, if not more.
Absolutely.
So what else? What other disturbing details?
Well, Bundy had this thing, this ritual.
Oh no.
He would go back to where he hid the bodies.
Like, visit them.
Yeah, spend hours there.
God, that's creepy.
It's really messed up. Sometimes he'd even,
Do things with the remains.
it's not something I want to go into detail about.
I get it. But
Yeah.
it shows a lot about his psyche, right?
It's a need for control,
Even after death.
Like he wanted to keep exerting power.
He also decapitated some victims.
At least 12 that we know of.
Have kept their heads.
As trophies.
It's just unimaginable.
Pure evil.
Okay, so the article shifts gears a bit
To his trial in Florida.
for the murders there.
And this is where things get really interesting.
How so?
Bundy decides to represent himself.
Wait, what? He was his own lawyer.
Yep, law school dropout, remember?
But that's so risky. What was he thinking?
Though the article suggests it was all about control.
He wanted to be in charge.
Absolutely. The courtroom became his stage.
A chance to perform.
And manipulate. The media went crazy, of course.
which probably just fed his ego.
Totally. It wasn't about a legal strategy.
It was about him,
He wanted the attention, the power.
even facing a possible death sentence.
He needed to be the center of it all.
So did it work? Did he get what he wanted?
Not really. The jury saw through his act.
Thank goodness.
They sentenced him to death.
Justice served, I guess.
But Bundy, being Bundy,
He wasn't done yet.
not even close, even facing execution.
He found a way to stay in control.
This is where things get really bizarre.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
He offers to help the Green River Task Force.
The Green River Killer?
Yeah.
That was a huge case.
Unsolved murders in Washington state.
Baffling everyone.
Bundy claimed he could help.
Wait, he wanted to catch another serial killer?
He said he understood how they thought.
Using his own darkness to help.
It's messed up, right?
And do they take him up on it?
No, they rejected his offer,
Probably for the best.
but they did interview him. His insights were surprisingly accurate.
So he actually had valuable information.
It's a chilling thought, isn't it?
That someone so evil could be so insightful.
And it wasn't until years later,
That they caught the Green River Killer.
and his profile matched what Bundy said.
Wow, so what about Bundy's confession?
Well, he waited until the very end.
Days before his execution,
Then he drops a bombshell
he confesses.
to 31 murders.
Across 7 states.
A truly staggering number.
But even then, some believe
But he didn't tell everything.
that there are more victims out there.
We may never know the true extent of his crimes.
Even in his confession, there's a sense of,
Manipulation.
yeah, like he's still in control.
He wanted to have the last word.
The article ends with a quote.
From Bundy's own defense attorney.
Polly Nelson.
She called him the very definition of heartless evil.
And then there's that chilling quote from Bundy himself.
The most cold-blooded son of a bitch you'll ever meet.
It sends shivers down your spine. Makes you wonder just how many more victims are out there.
Right. There's stories untold.
Families still searching for answers.
That's the thing about a case like this.
Even with his confession.
We may never know the full truth.
The true number of victims.
A haunting thought, for sure.
And even if we knew everything.
There's still the big question.
The one everyone wants to answer. What drove him to do it?
It's a question that's fascinated people for decades.
Countless books, documentaries, studies.
Trying to understand his mind.
His childhood, his relationships.
But there's no easy answer.
No single explanation.
It's like trying to understand pure evil.
And that's what makes true crime so compelling.
It forces us to confront the darkness in humanity.
The potential for evil lurking beneath the surface.
In any
This
dream.
deep dive into Ted Bundy.
It's been a journey into the darkest corners of the human psyche.
A story that sticks with you.
Long after you've heard it,
And it reminds us that evil can be deceptive.
it can wear many masks.
We have to be vigilant.
Trust our instincts.
And never take our safety for granted.
Absolutely.
If you're intrigued by this case,
There's so much more to explore.
books, documentaries, articles,
All going deeper into Bundy's life and crimes.
consider this a starting point.
For your own exploration.
There's always more to learn,
More to uncover.
more to ponder about human nature.
And the darkness within.
Thanks for joining us on this chilling journey.
Until next time.
Stay curious, stay informed,
And most importantly,
stay safe,